Hey, first thing, throw your name on here. Put your hour on it. It's currently second hour. Alright, and then we are going to go start over in slope. So we looked at slope for 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. I put all three different fractions that can represent slope on here. So slope can be rise over your run to the right. So this first one, we would do rise over run. We would count how far down, because this one actually has a negative slope, and how far to the right we go. So this one we go down 2, we go right 1. So my slope would be negative 2 over 1. Okay. If we are looking at a table, we are looking at the change in our y values over the change in our x values. Remember, y goes on top. So 5 to 3, 3 to 1, 1 to negative 1. How much am I going down each step there? 2. I'm going down 2 each step. So down 2, down 2, down 2. Okay. Negative 8 to negative 4, negative 4 to 0, 0 to 4. How much am I going up or down there? Am I going up or down? Up. And how much am I changing by each time? 4. So I'm adding 4 each time. So once you figure those out, we're going to look at their change in our y values over the change in our x values. So this one is negative 2 over 4. What can we do with that fraction?
Reduce it.
Reduce it. 2/4 is the same as 1/2. So we can divide by 2 on top, get negative 1. Divide by 4 on bottom, get 2. So negative 2/4 is the same as negative 1/2. If a fraction can be reduced, you need to reduce it in order to get full credit. Okay, and then the last way we found slope was using our slope formula when we have two ordered pairs. So for this one, we have our slope formula. I'm going to rewrite it right here. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Remember, y's go on top, x's go on bottom. Then, if you want to label your ordered pairs, even if you think you don't need it, label it on your note card, because what happens if you have a brain fart on Thursday and you want it? This is x and y from my first ordered pair, so x1 and y1. This is x and y from my second ordered pair. Okay, so then we plug in all of our numbers. So it's going to be y2 minus y1. So that's going to be 3 minus negative 7 over, on bottom, x2 minus x1 is 5 minus 3. Subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive. So if you want to write down for yourself that that actually means 3 plus 7, you can. So then 3 plus 7 is going to be 10. 5 minus 3 is going to be 2. If I have 10 over 2, I can reduce that. There's two possible things that my correct final answer would be. First of all, what can I divide 10 and 2 by? I can divide it by 2 if I'm going to reduce them, or I can just do 10 divided by 2, which is 5. So I can either have my answer be 5 over 1, or I can have my answer just be 5. So 5 over 1 or 5 would both be correct there. Okay. Any questions right now on slope? Hey, next thing. Let's look at slope-intercept form. So the only thing I put on here for slope-intercept form was just your equation. In your equation, what does m stand for? Slope. So m equals slope. What does your b stand for? Your y-intercept. So that's why it's called slope-intercept form, is because it gives you a slope and it gives you a y-intercept. Okay, underneath here, I put a little equation with some stuff missing. If there's not a number in front of x, if there's not a slope in front of x, what number is there? 1. So fill that in with a 1. And then if I don't have a y-intercept, what number's there? 0. If you're currently on your computer and not paying attention, please pay attention. You have a test on Thursday. Alright, so just those missing pieces are the one thing that we're still getting stuck on, I think. Alright, next up, horizontal and vertical lines. I put your whole acronym there, so horizontal lines are a 0 slope and the equation is y equals a number. What does a horizontal line look like? Show me with your arm or your hand. Side to side. So draw a horizontal line. Okay, vertical lines have an undefined slope and our x equals a number. What does a vertical line look like? Okay, if you forget, think about if you were to ask someone what their vertical is, that's how high they can jump. So think about up and down. All right, any questions on anything on the front of this note card? Okay, if there's any additional stuff that you guys want, you can add it in the margins. Go ahead and flip this over. We're going to do an example of 2.7. 2.7 is the one where it's like, hey, this is enough steps that they might want an example. So I put space for an example. So we've got one problem on here, 4x minus 8y equals 16. When we taught you how to graph from standard form, we taught you two methods. We taught you the converting method and we taught you how to find intercepts. You are welcome to write both of these down. I would write both of them down just in case your brain decides it doesn't want to do one or the other on the test. But you ultimately get to use the method that you prefer. So, converting to y equals mx plus b, I'm going to write my equation down here. 4x minus 8y equals 16. I would subtract 4x from both sides. I would have negative 8y equals negative 4x plus 16. And I'm going to divide everywhere by that negative 8. So divide by negative 8, divide by negative 8, divide by negative 8. I get y equals negative 4 over negative 8. First of all, what's a negative divided by a negative? Positive. 4 over 8, what fraction can that be simplified to? 4 is what of 8? 4 is half of 8, so 1 over 2, 1 half. So 1 half x, and then 16 divided by negative 8 is negative 2. Okay, if I were going to graph that from there, I would start at a y-intercept of negative 2. I would graph a slope of 1 half. So go up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2. So if converting is the method that you prefer, that is converting. Any questions about converting? Okay. I feel like a lot of us preferred intercepts. So intercepts are when we find our x-intercept by plugging in 0 for y, and find our y-intercept by plugging in 0 for x. So I'm not going to write all that out. Instead, I'm just going to solve 4x equals 16. And then I can also solve negative 8y equals 16. Don't lose that negative, though. I covered it up with my pinky accidentally. Negative 8y equals 16. So to do that, I'll divide both sides here by 4. I'll get x equals 4. That's my x-intercept. And then right here, I would divide both sides by negative 8. I'll get y equals negative 2. That would be my y-intercept. If I were to graph that, I would graph a point right here at x equals 4. So this point right here. I would graph a point at y equals negative 2. And I would connect those. And it would end up with the exact same line. So that's how you graph once you get your intercepts. Okay. Any questions about standard form? All right, let's talk about the rest of this then. I don't think there's anything we need to write in on the rest of this. I think it's just information I gave you. So, linear inequalities, I gave you all your symbols. Less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So I gave you all 4 of your symbols in a little table. Same one from your notes. Literally copied and pasted it. And then parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. That might be a thing we want to write down. Let's come up with an example. So let's say if my slope was 3/5, that's going to be perpendicular to -5/3. So you take the fraction and you flip it over and you make it negative. 2 perpendicular to -5/3. That's just a random example. Okay, if you are given a y-intercept, you are going to write your equation in slope-intercept form. That's what we did in 2.9. If you are given an ordered pair with 2 numbers where the x value is not 0, then you're going to write your equation in point-slope form, and I gave you your equation there. Don't forget the minuses in your equation. All right, those were all the things that I wanted to tell you. Add in anything else you want into your note card. It is your responsibility to keep this note card. That's why I made it bright yellow. And have it to use on your test on Thursday, or if you're watching the video Friday if you're in an odd hour. So